Hey everybody, Jason and John here with Everyday Crypto, sponsored by CryptoTaxShield.com. Jason, thanks for meeting up with me again here today. I appreciate you taking some time.
John, as always, I thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. I'm going to be a little selfish today. We every once in a while we'll get some questions in from our viewers and stuff. I got a couple of my own. I just thought I'd pick your brain on some Q&A stuff today, just for selfish reasons. I just want to see what your answers might be to some of these.
Oh, cool. Great. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe. We're not financial advisors, as Jason always says. So if you find any value in what we're doing here, make sure you hit those buttons. All right. First question. This is actually from one of our viewers. Would ask Jason if he would consider himself a Bitcoin maximalist.
Good question. So, no, I would not. Although I do think that understanding Bitcoin is the key to understanding all the movement within crypto.
Gotcha.
And in bear markets, everyone kind of becomes a Bitcoin maximalist because it's the one that will survive.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin maximalist is kind of a strong term, and they've gotten a negative connotation over the last couple of years because they hate everything else beyond Bitcoin. Like up until about a year ago, they considered Ethereum a Ponzi scheme. Like it was,
oh, right, sure.
And they hate everything. So, and I do think they do more damage than they do good within the space. Like for me, if anybody comes into crypto for any reason, I'm happy. I don't care if it's over some horrible project that I disagree with. Just them getting their foot in the door, I think is a great idea.
Sure.
And mass adoption is how we change the world. So although I am extremely Bitcoin minded, I wouldn't consider myself a maximalist. No.
Okay. Yeah, that was actually, I mean, as much research as I've done, that was really the first time I had come across that phrase. So when our viewer asked it, I'm like, that's a good question. Yeah, no, but I agree with you. I mean, if everybody's not playing the game or a large portion of the population isn't playing the game, there's no game to play, right? So
there are rumors, I don't know if they're true or not, that Bitcoin maximalists are trying to get inside of the heads of the government to try and make everything else illegal except Bitcoin. I don't know if that's true or not, but if that were true, that'd be pretty horrendous because there's so many good projects out there and so many bad ones. But that's kind of the reputation they've gotten at this point.
Yeah. This is a personal question for me. Would you consider now, just sort of where the environment is with crypto, is now a good time to look at and get involved with other altcoins?
So there's two ways to look at that.
Okay.
So if you're short-term minded, definitely not, because I do think there's more pain in the market, and the further down the list your altcoin is, the heavier it will be hit.
Sure.
So if Bitcoin goes down 50% over the last year, and altcoins are going to go down like 80, 90%. But if you're long-term minded, if you're buying these altcoins because you know you're going to hold them for 5 years,
right,
then I think dollar cost averaging right now is probably a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Another good viewer question here. Ask Jason what he thinks the best case, the best bull case and the best bear case scenario might be, sort of where we are in crypto.
That's a great
one. Hope I didn't butcher that question, but yeah.
That's a really good one. All right, so I'll start off with the most obvious one because there's so much fear in the market, which would be the bear market case.
Right.
We've got so much uncertainty in the market. Consumer price index numbers are coming out. That's super scary if they're off expectations. We got inflation rates coming out. If they're off expectations, we have interest rate hikes. We don't know how long that's going to last. I personally think that we got 2 more ahead of us, and I think the Feds will stop. But nobody knows for sure.
Right.
We got the war in Russia, which is messing up supply chains for oil, and if everything's connected to the price of oil, everything you buy has been touched by oil.
Right.
If that continues, then inflation is going to continue because getting the cereal box to that store is going to cost more.
Mm-hmm.
We've got, the supply shock issue from Ukraine and Russia alone could be it could affect the price of everything, not only through oil, but wheat and so much other stuff, because there's more farmable soil in those two countries than there are in the rest of the world. So,
Right.
And that's just things I'm talking off the top of my head. There's more I could probably think of, like the Chinese housing market. People don't know this, but it is extremely close to collapsing. There are massive cities in China that they've built on leverage, and nobody lives in them. I'm talking about cities like the size of Cleveland, or like there's massive buildings everywhere, and there's not one soul to be found because no one's living there.
Right.
Evergreen, which is their biggest real estate company, which went bankrupt, what was it, last year?
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the canary in the coal mine type situation, because what happens is with these Chinese housing companies is they don't pay cash to build a $1 million building.
Right.
They borrow and then build, borrow and build, borrow and build. And they're so leveraged. And when you get that leveraged out, if the market turns, you're easily liquidated. And that's a massive fear, because it doesn't stop in China. The ripple effects will go global.
Right.
And then you got, fears of, the new COVID situations that are constantly coming out, which I try to ignore, but it's impossible.
And now monkeypox.
Right. So that's the bear market scenario.
Right.
But on the other case, the bull market scenario is that, okay, all of this is priced in.
Right.
Like everything I just talked about and more is priced in. The max fear in the market has already been reflected. So if you start taking off, let's just say the war in the Ukraine goes away. Let's just say the housing market in China goes away. Let's say the Feds decide to stop increasing interest rates. Let's say CPI data comes in good. Let's say inflation starts to decrease. You start taking off those things that have been priced in, and you'll see the market react very fast.
Right.
And I do think people aren't talking about that because fear is a stronger emotion than greed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the market has been oversold, and I think the fear is overdone.
Right.
It's not like the first time in history we've battled with inflation, and it's not the first time like there's been wars and stuff. It's just all at once, it's like the perfect storm. So that would be the bullish scenario, is that this has been oversold.
Right. These
things will go away faster than people think, and when they do, the rebound will be pretty dramatic.
Awesome. Well, that's some good positivity there, possibly. Yeah, I mean, you're right though. When things happen like they're happening now, where there's this convergence of just stuff, right? It makes it hard to be able to know what the next step is always going to be. So
yeah, but there's one thing investors hate. Bad news they can deal with. Good news they can deal with. It's uncertainty.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like retail investors just get scared and they sell, but super experienced investors, they don't act like that.
Right.
But they don't like uncertainty. So I guarantee you right now, for sure, there's trillions of dollars of money sitting on the sidelines, just watching and waiting.
Right.
Like me personally, although I still have crypto and some stocks, I've mostly gone into dollars just waiting.
Right.
When the smoke clears and the fight's over, that's the time to really jump in. So, I think that's what's going on, and you'll see that money come in fast. Like, if it turns bullish, that money will not sit on the sideline for long.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, that's 3 good ones. I think we'll do maybe another one of these here pretty soon. I kind of dig taking some of the viewers' questions and getting a little selfish with mine and picking your brain a little bit. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, of course. Oh man, I don't know. Yeah.
So you've been in the space a little bit. You came in as a newbie, and you've had a slight, an education, and you're a super smart guy. What's your opinion on Bitcoin in general?
Yeah. So, well, I'm a little biased because I've gotten to know you and work with you, outside of these episodes. My opinion is I think it's a good time to buy because it is going to go back up at some point. I like the idea of buying the dip, and I've been doing that. I don't study it the way that you study it, but it seems very, very quiet. across the board, sort of across crypto, proper. But I think now's a good time. If I had a buddy that wanted to get in and start learning, now's, I think, a good time to learn while it is quiet, and even maybe get into some of the altcoins, kind of play a little bit, learn their verbiage, go back and watch these episodes, play a little bit, just dip your toe in while it's not so serious,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, but I also think you're right though. The world, I mean, it's interesting because you almost have to look geopolitically because this is something that affects everybody. It's not just the US dollar sort of, circling the globe. It's the crypto's everywhere on the planet. So world events affect it, and I'm starting to see how things are connected. So, and that's due to your tutelage. So
everything's interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that movie, the Blade Runner, the new one that came out.
2049. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Interconnected.
Oh, yeah.
I'll finish this off with saying one thing in regards to what you said, because I think you're right on with what you said. And I think you're accurate. So Michael Saylor, I'm a huge fan, right? He's the CEO of MicroStrategy. He was the first U.S. corporation to put Bitcoin on their balance sheets.
Right.
And he's, of course, a Bitcoin maximalist. But he's an MIT graduate, self-made billionaire, and insanely smart. He's not a gambler on any level. He's just smart. If you look at the history of his investments, he's always been ahead of the curve on technology plays.
Sure.
And he said the other day, I think it was on CNBC, they were asking him, because he owns so much Bitcoin on the balance sheets, he goes, are you scared that you're going to get liquidated? Because he actually borrowed billions of dollars to buy billions of dollars of Bitcoin.
Right.
And he goes, he said two things. He goes, I will buy the top forever, which means he doesn't care what price it is. He's not a short-term holder, so he doesn't care. He knows Bitcoin's future. He has access to so many MIT graduates who are looking at this on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
And he also said, one of two things is true. Either Bitcoin's going to zero or it's going to millions of dollars.
Right.
And he says, it's not going to zero.
Right.
It's been around for 14 years. It should have made it this far, but now it's here to stay for sure.
That's right.
And user adoption is just increasing on the daily. And I think he's right on both those statements. I think if you bought now, even if you bought at the $60,000 rate, which you would be down 50% right now.
Yeah.
But if your viewpoint is 20 years, it just doesn't matter.
That's right.
It's going to be so much more. It just won't matter. And I do agree with him in the fact that it either goes to zero, which is not, or it's going to millions of dollars for Bitcoin.
Right.
There really is no middle ground there. And I think he's right, 100%. I think he's been around everything he's ever said. He's such a smart guy.
Yeah, no, I have these conversations with friends and family, and I'm like, yeah, while things are quiet, just learn a little bit. I mean, we've talked about this in previous episodes. It's just, emotional intelligence, retail intelligence, just learning the verbiage and the layout of the land. And once you sort of get there, and I would consider myself maybe at the lower end of intermediate, I'm doing well, and I'm doing well. Yeah. So. But again, having you in my corner helps. So
that's great to hear, man. I'm glad.
Yeah, no, I'm digging it.
To see make that road, that path.
Yeah,
is really. I love to see people when the light bulb goes off for people.
Yeah,
and they see the power of this whole technology.
Mm-hmm.
It really touches my heart because I remember when my light bulb went off and it changed my life.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
there's nothing better than paying it forward for sure. So
yeah.
And we're doing a good service, I think, with this. We're getting good feedback with these episodes. So, man, I really appreciate you taking some time. Let's do another one soon.
Brother, man, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Take care.
You got it.